The holidays are upon us. We've got snow on the Bastion. We've got Gallic throwing snowballs at each other's faces. The holiday cheer is here, including the new fusion for Blizaar the Howler. The question, however, isn't necessarily is the champion good, because we looked at that the other day right over here. So go check that video out if you're interested in that. The question is, should you fuse him? Because the schedule leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not as bad as it looks at first, but it ain't great. Let's talk about it. Welcome, I'm the Deadwoodjedi. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video, and I want to talk about this fusion because I think it deserves discussion, and I really want to hear from you guys. So make sure you let me know in the comments what you guys think about the fusion schedule. Are you guys planning on doing the fusion or not? How does the schedule feel to you? Because I've got some real mixed emotions about it. First off, let's look at the schedule itself. So they put out this thing every year, right? Where it's like shows the full schedule. So first off, you have to get this Bovos Sharphorn. You got 4 of them. You use them to fuse the champion, right? So it's a bigger fusion event. The champion himself, I think, is good enough to fuse, not a game changer. So it's one of those ones where if you wanted to skip it, I wouldn't feel bad about it. I wouldn't encourage you to skip it necessarily, but I wouldn't feel bad about doing so. The real question I have is this, I mean, I don't know, like this event calendar is kind of, it's tight. It's tight because they're giving you need to get 200 fragments, right? You need to do all of these events. And there's 50 bonus ones, but they're only available through the Heroes Path. And that starts on Christmas Day. So this is a second fusion in a row where they've given us with 0 leeway as players. Because those Hero Path events are usually crazy hard and crazy big. And so like, does that mean that I want to really associate my growth with that? Not really. You know, there's a dungeon diver at the same time. There's an artifact enhancement event at the same time. There's a classic arena event, and there's a spider tournament too, right? So there's some stuff that you can sort of double up on while you're doing it, but not really. And I have a hope. I have one hope, is because that is on Christmas, that it starts on Christmas, is that they basically give those fragments to us like at the top of it. And it's like, here, take these. Merry Christmas. That would be my hope. But my guess is it's like any of these other things and really hard to get. And so basically, you know, it's like winning a tournament to get those extra fragments. Basically, I don't count them. And I'm really tired. Like, I've been getting tired of these fusions that require you to do so much without any leeway, without any ability to be flexible in what you're doing. And like, there's no, you know, this is the second time in a row where you have to get an exact amount of fragments. It's to the point. I mean, I disagree with this so strongly. I'm tempted just to boycott the fusion just because I'm upset about that. I think that's just bad. I think it's bad business, but it's definitely not listening to the player base. When you have things like No Dime December getting a lot of steam and a lot of people fired up about it, and you know, one of the big problems is you're not taking care of your player base. And one of the ways you do that is not by giving us fusions with no leeway in them, right? You don't start with leeway and then take it away. Like that's what they've done. It's very frustrating as a player because like there's only so much time I want to spend, and I spend all day on my computer playing this game. I can't imagine what it's like for people with, you know, that have jobs that aren't associated with this game. So for me, this is a very frustrating thing. And it's to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I really want to do this fusion whatsoever. That's that's my biggest problem with it. Now, here's the caveat. The other thing that's been going on is the Yuletide Titan event, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm well on my way. I'm already up to milestone 5. I've been having a fine time with it. I don't think it's obviously it's a challenge, but not crazy hard, and there's plenty of stuff I can skip now. If I don't want, I haven't skipped anything, so I can now. If I really want to. I skipped a little bit. I skipped a little bit from one of the things, right? The big heroes event thing, right? I skipped a little bit of that, but beyond the point. The point is that I can stay away from some stuff. Well, interestingly enough, if you look at the dragon event, hey, there's some fragments. Oh, there's some Yuletide points too. Okay. What about the champion training? Hey, there's some fragments. Oh, some Yuletide points too. Here's where I have to be like, you know what? Plarium's doing it right. They're letting us double dip on these events. By doing the Yuletide, I'm also able to get the fusion done. That is top class. That I really respect and appreciate. So there's a balance here, right? If you're trying to do both of them, but Plarium actually did a really nice thing for us. They made it available to do both. The last time, I think it was about this year, they tried to do something like this, and the events were separate, and that was real frustrating. People were real upset. This time, they have them together. That makes it a lot easier if you're trying to do both, right? Like a lot easier. So I'm a little torn what to do. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm probably going to be able to do the fusion because I'm doing the Yuletide event and it's doubling up with all the fusion stuff. It's probably not going to be, it's going to be a no-brainer for me, right? It's very frustrating. You have to do, what is it? One summon, you have to do a summon rush, champion chase, two champion trainings, I think. There's a lot of stuff and like 3 artifact enhancement events for this fusion. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff for it. And like I said, there's no leeway. So I'm upset. I'm upset that I'm probably going to end up doing the fusion anyway. Because I would 100%, I would skip it, honestly. If I wasn't going to do it basically by accident, which I know is how it's going to be, I'm going to be stuck with like 25 fragments to go and be like, well, it's not going to be hard. I can just do that. But I know if I was free to play, I would skip it 100% because I can't support a fusion event like this. Very frustrating. So this is where I'm at. Like, I think that it's a good fusion. I think the champion's good. I don't think he's game changing. So I think if you want to skip it, that's totally fine. I don't think it's the kind of champion that it's not the kind of champion that I would spend money on resources to get. I don't feel that way about him. I don't think he's that good. Definitely solid, but for sure, but not like what I would consider a game-changing champion. Now, there's always a caveat of like what's going to come down the road. Centranos is a big thing, right? What new, is there going to be champion balance, right? So definitely could be somebody solid. And most fusions find a way to be useful one way or the other. But, there's some that you just don't miss. Also, I don't think you'll miss Blizaar. Just my guess. And obviously, if you want to see, more in-depth build on him, he was better than I thought he was going to be. It's not like he's a trash champion. But I'm probably going to end up doing the fusion. I would, recommend in a vacuum that you guys do as well. I think he's a useful champion. But I think that there's a real argument to be said that skipping the fusion on principle makes some sense. And skipping the fusion because the event lineup is too hard also makes some sense. And that actually kind of brings me to my last point here, which I think is something that, I don't know if you guys have kind of been feeling this way, but, I've been playing this game for a long time. And one of the things I've always felt like everything was doable. You could do everything, right? Even free-to-play players can really do everything. But it's gotten to the point, and it's just clear now. I think it's been this way for over a year. It's just clear now that you're not expected to, nor should you do every event. You should not do every fusion. Not designed that way. There are some to skip. And I've had criticism in the past when I say, oh, you can skip this one. People are like, you're doing a huge disservice to the community, yada, yada, yada. But I think there's just too much happening all the time. You're expected to skip some of this stuff. I think that's built in to the, fusions that they're adding. It's just you want to make sure you're not skipping the ones that are going to be game changers. And this is where we come back to the Howler in this fusion. Not what I would consider a game changer. Very good champion, by the way. Really, really good champion. Like Blizaar is, I forgot I'm actually on my main account here. Blizaar is actually, I think a really decent champion here. Not gonna change the game for you, but really good. Got incredible CC ability. I think this A2 is a little bit like why. The passive is also a little bit like why. I don't think either of those fit in, but the A1 and the A3 are good enough on their own to make this a champion worth considering. The A1 is really good for Fire Knight at the very least, right? So there's definitely some potential to this champion. And I think that might be, the biggest thing to use them here. There's also, it's one of those things where you don't always know where a champion's going to be best at. And, there's going to be something down the pipe and he might just fit perfectly for it. So I don't want to say don't fuse this champion, but I do think that if this is a fusion you want to skip, I think you'll be fine with skipping this one, right? This is not Emic. This is not Razzlevarg. This is not Gnut, right? You'll be fine if you skip this one. That's where I'm settling on it. I'm not going to try and do this fusion, but if it falls in my lap, I'll let it fall in my lap. I really want to get Tormund. That's a champion I've wanted for a very long time. So that's my main goal. If I end up getting Blizzard along the way, I'll be happy with that. So I think that's all. That's it. I just want to talk about that really quickly because, I feel like the way these fusions are being done where it's like you can't skip any events, I think is just really unacceptable. I honestly, I don't understand the design concept here behind that. If it's just to push people to, do all the summoning stuff and spend money and get shards, okay, I think it's short-sighted. But if it's, if it's to drive player engagement, I think this is actually having the opposite effect. I know it is for me. I'm more likely to skip out when it's this tight than do everything that's asked of me. That's just where I'm at. I don't know. You guys tell me where you're at with that. I would actually really love to hear feedback on that. So let me know what you guys think. That's all we got for today. I appreciate you listening to me rant for a bit. Till next we meet on the Deadwood Jedi.